Israel unleashed a wave of airstrikes in Gaza after hostage release negotiations with Hamas broke down. Officials in Gaza say at least 400 Palestinians were killed. Remy Inocencio is in Tel Aviv.
Families and supporters of hostages held in Gaza made their anger clear today outside Israel's legislature in Jerusalem and the defense ministry in Tel Aviv.
Israel's military believe that bombing Gaza could put more pressure on Hamas to free the hostages. But for the families and friends of Israeli hostages here, they believe that it is a death sentence. What do you think of Netanyahu's strategy?
He should have kept going with the deal and make sure that all of the hostages get back home safely.
But the Israeli Defense Forces said its military offensive will only expand. IDF spokesman Nadav Shoshani told us it's the most effective way to bring back all the hostages.
Are the hostage families wrong?
I understand the families and my heart goes out to them. The history shows that the military pressure could bring back hostages.
But former IDF General Israel Ziv believes this strategy is fundamentally flawed.
Is this a death sentence for the hostages?
We know over a year now that military pressure does not bring back the hostages. And in some cases, the other way.
It kills them.
It kills hostages. If we keep on just with those raids and attacks, I think we're going to see more hostages dead.
Remy Inocencio in Tel Aviv. Now, Remy, what are the underlying politics of the moment in Israel? There's a lot at play here.
Absolutely. You know, many say that Netanyahu is actually keeping the war going to save his own political skin. This is my 7th rotation here since the war started, and that cynicism has been very much constant. And actually today didn't help. Netanyahu was set to testify in his now 4-year-long corruption trial, but that hearing was canceled because Israel started bombing Gaza. And many say that's not a coincidence.
Tired of life. We were okay with staying in a tent next to our home, which was destroyed, and now we're going back to a shelter in a school. I transported people's stuff on a cart 5 times so that I had enough money to hire a donkey, which costs 40 to 50 shekels. This tent is suffocating. We can't anymore. I suffered so much to find a place to put the tent, and it's next to school bathrooms. I live next to the school's bathrooms, and this is the only place for 8 of us. The sewers are flooding. There is disease. Life is expensive. We can't live. This is not life. We urge the mediators. We are the ones paying the price with our women and children. What is this? We can't find the time to be displaced. We're displaced every day.
Iran is ready for any Israeli attack against the Islamic Republic. The comments first surfaced when an interview with the Iranian foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, recently aired on Chinese state media. Araghchi told China's CCTV he hopes Israel will avoid such reckless actions as they could escalate into a large-scale war. Tehran is worried Israel may strike again in response to relentless missile attacks by Yemen's Houthi rebels, who get their weapons from Iran. It's an especially tense situation after the last few weeks, which saw a rise in attacks from the Houthis, including a ballistic missile launched toward Israel. Counterattacks against the Houthis haven't been particularly effective. So, some within the country, like Mossad chief David Barnea, are suggesting Israel launch another direct strike into Iran to take out the source of the Houthis' weapons. Israel already pummeled Iran with 2 direct attacks over the past year in retaliation for continual missile and drone strikes, including an October 1st attack from Iran that saw some 200 missiles fired at Israel. The Iron Dome and other air defense systems intercepted most of the missiles, but Israel still carried out a counterattack on October 26th, pounding Iranian military sites and decimating the country's air defenses. Israel also launched a strike on an air defense battery near a nuclear site last April for another series of drone and missile attacks courtesy of Iran. Despite the tough words, Iran's top diplomat says he believes reason will ultimately prevail and prevent severe consequences, while also claiming Tehran is truly seeking a diplomatic approach.
The recent threats of civil war among radicalized Trump supporters are not isolated. 5 years ago today, white supremacists and neo-Nazis marched on Charlottesville, Virginia in a violent demonstration. We visited the city to see what's changed and to ask residents if they think the country has fully reckoned with what it witnessed that summer. And a warning, this story contains violent images that may be disturbing to some viewers.
This is where I saw a group come by. They were all young men wearing white tops and khaki pants.
On the morning of August 12, 2017, Diane Hillman watched from the steps of Congregation Beth Israel as white supremacists marched. Her synagogue, the only one in the city, had just finished its Saturday Sabbath service.
They said, "Oh, there's the synagogue." And then they started yelling the traditional anti-Semitic, blood and soil, Jews will not replace us.
Scores of self-proclaimed neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and far-right militiamen under the name Unite the Right had gathered to protest the removal of a Confederate statue in town and to demonstrate the power of the alt-right movement.
This is what you represent!
It quickly turned violent and ultimately fatal when one neo-Nazi drove his car through a crowd of demonstrators, killing 32-year-old Heather Heyer. Today, residents are still looking for accountability, a process met with fits and starts.
I hope that we can move to an authentic healing by embracing truth.
New city leadership, including the first black female mayor and the creation of a police civilian oversight board, were stymied by bureaucracy and turnover. A lack of trust remains between law enforcement and the community. The problems extend beyond the city, argues Jelaine Schmidt, an activist and professor at the University of Virginia.
People in Charlottesville felt abandoned by government at every level, you know, in the wake of Unite the Right. Like, we weren't protected.
Has that trauma fully healed?
No. No.
Jews will not replace us! Jews!
By the time the alt-right carried torches across the UVA lawn, Schmidt had already confronted them at a July Ku Klux Klan rally. The chaos on the 12th was no surprise to her and others, even as the violence and former President Trump's response stunned the nation.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
The people of Charlottesville are still grappling with the trauma of August 12th and of that entire summer. They call it the Summer of Hate. And where I'm standing is where neo-Nazis and white supremacists marched. Trump's response?
If someone is kind of going to attach their, name to, Charlottesville, this attack on Charlottesville is what inspired them. I invite them to, to listen to some of the goals that our community has articulated in the aftermath of Unite the Right.
Pointing to a new mental health hotline with tactics to detect threats of violence, investments in digital literacy tools to combat disinformation, bipartisan legislation on hate crimes reporting, and a team focused on domestic terrorism at the National Security Council.
We heard the chants.
President Biden often references Charlottesville in speeches, as he did when visiting Buffalo, New York this spring, after a shooter motivated by racism killed 10 people.
When I saw those people coming out of the woods in Charlottesville, carrying torches, shouting, "You will not replace us."
His senior advisor, Mike Donnellan, said the president thinks about Charlottesville every day. He told NewsHour, "One of the most important roles the president plays is a constant and forceful and vigilant voice against extremism and white supremacy and the forces of hate in the country. His voice is the loudest and biggest microphone." Even as some of the groups behind Unite the Right declined, the racist Great Replacement theory that motivated them flourished, inspiring mass shootings, including the massacre in Buffalo. And on January 6, 2021, some of the same people who marched in downtown Charlottesville stormed the United States Capitol.
Where in Charlottesville, these groups on the far right tried to unite, but they failed. But on January 6th, they did show that you could get white supremacists and militia groups.
And agreed to pay the medical bills of people injured that summer, in an amount equal to a 1921 pledge to the university by the KKK. Many demands remain unfulfilled. But last year, the city met one critical commitment, removing the statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee.
Lee Park is on the left.
Diane Hillman showed us the walk from the synagogue to the park, a reminder of what she saw on August 12th.
It's a very different feeling here today, right now, compared to what it was. It just feels so peaceful now.
The These aren't police officers or soldiers.
They're business owners, their fathers, their sons, daughters.
These are civilians, members of the Lincoln Heights Safety and Watch program.
It's a duty. Okay, let's go.
The duty, protecting their neighborhood, the majority black village of Lincoln Heights, Ohio.
Ain't nobody scared of you.
After neo-Nazis held a rally here last month, carrying rifles, waving swastikas, and hurling racial slurs, just moments before children were let out of school. At the time, law enforcement officials said the neo-Nazis did not break any laws, but an investigation by county prosecutors is ongoing. Weeks later, the KKK came with these flyers.
First African-American community above the Mason-Dixon line of staff.
Safety and Watch Group spokesperson Durrance Daniels says the police did not do enough, which was more chilling because the town was founded in the 1920s as a safe haven for black residents.
Lincoln Heights is our home. If somebody broke into your home, you call the police, and the police says, you know, if they do it again, we haven't broken any laws, so we're just going to allow them to break into your home again. What would you do?
So you feel like the police department and the sheriff have allowed or been silent in the face of this threat?
They've been more than silent. I don't know what else to call that. Like that can't happen nowhere else. What is so intimidating about a black man with a gun saying that I'm not going to allow a terrorist to harm my family?
Are you worried at all that having a potentially armed response could just create more friction, create more danger?
I'll answer that by saying I've never felt safer as a black man in my community than I have right now.
The mayor of Evendale, which oversees the police force that responded that day, said in a statement to NBC News, "Our emphasis on de-escalation and public safety resulted in the incident's resolution without injuries to any of the persons involved." But residents here say they can't afford to wait. Every day, the Safety and Watch Group escorts children to school and patrols the streets.
Why do you all wear masks?
Those Nazis, we have reports of them finding our backgrounds, so we're not hiding ourselves from the residents, but we're protecting our family from what we're doing out here.
While many locals do support the security group, some, like business owner Eric Ruffin, say they wish the group wasn't needed.
We don't want to become what we hate. You know, we don't want to become a group of people that walk around feeling like we have a reason in America to have to protect ourselves.
And this community,
stand up,
is not backing down.
Reading out of the book of Isaiah, chapter 13 and verse 13, and it reads, "Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place, and the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and the day of his fierce anger." Verse 14, "And it shall be as the chase roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee everyone into his own land." Giving all praise, honor, and glory to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahweh, Ba'Shem HaMashiach Yahushai, Ruha Rakah Kodesh. Double honors to the mighty men, the elders, and the apostles in the community, waking up the lost sheep of the house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone doing this truth, walking in this truth in humbleness, sincerity. Again, I'm going to say shalom. It's your brother Yawsop coming at you with another video. And, you know, family, looking at the video accounts, this race war is cranking up. You got a build up in Ohio, and the question is, at some point, the lawmakers, they're more than likely going to try to make a move on those brothers in that community in Ohio, trying to protect their own people. Okay, this is when your ADL, your SPLC, and Canary Mission run to lawmakers to put laws against people of color. And you got the other accounts, You have Iran ready to war Israel. Okay. The bombing has resumed in Palestine, parts of Gaza, should I say. And you have a global war buildup. Okay. You have to put in what's going on with NATO, how America's basically abandoning NATO, right? You have a mass global war buildup, okay? And when you look at the Post, I resurfaced what happened in Charlottesville, and that wasn't long ago, okay? It's 2025, Charlottesville. When you look at the Post, the year is actually dated. It wasn't that long ago. This race war is coming, okay? When Hamashiach Yahushua, who the world calls sweet Jesus, he's not coming back to bring about a utopia of all nations. It's never going to happen, okay? He's only coming back for the lost sheep, the house of Israel, as it's written in Matthew 15 and 24. Now there's Matthew 10 and 6, okay? He's not sent into the Ku Klux Klan. And I'm going to continue to post, okay, when these neo-Nazis make attacks at people of color. We're coming to the end now, right? And there isn't time to try to make friends with them. They're not trying to make friends with you, so-called people of color. They're showing that in Ohio. They showed it in the state of Georgia with the execution of those twins that died recently. And you have an administration that's removing the shooter, I believe it was a shooter in Buffalo. It was one of them shooters where they gave him the death penalty and the death penalty was removed. Basically, the cops harassing people of color, which is all the time in America. Any charges against cops, that's getting shut down. So you so-called people of color, scattered children of Israel, which you really are, I got a decision to make because the time is coming. Remember, I'm going to always bring this up. Babylon the Great is entering 250 very soon. This time, okay, we're entering to the month of Bib now. Imagine next year. I hope we don't get to it personally. I hope the trumpet sound and the Most High save the elect and we get out of here. Okay, I can't guarantee you that because only the Father knows when the Son's going to deliver the 12 tribes and the children of Israel. But race wars are building, okay? Race wars are building up. And for you so-called people of color, you can't lean on this government, right? Anyone believing in a Democratic Party or Republican Party, you're already out of the game, man. This is not for you if you're going to believe in government. Just based on the Post, it don't work. And what y'all going to do when these missiles fly? Okay? You're not going to be delivered out of the times of Jacob's trouble. Okay? Because Jacob's trouble coming into an extreme peak. And it's coming in very fast. Let's get that. Let's get Jeremiah 30 and 7. Let's deal with Jacob's trouble. It's definitely going to crank up. Okay. And for our people in this world, especially for you so-called Trump supporters, how y'all feeling now? Look at the terror that he bringing on all you so-called brown people that voted for him. Right? It's not working out. It's not working out. Let's get Jeremiah chapter 30 and 7. Okay. Jeremiah 30 and 7, it reads, "At last, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it." Verse 8, "For it shall come to pass in that day, said the Most High of hosts, that I will break his yoke. I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. Because we're servants, not just to Esau, Edom, but to all the nations. Okay, that's just Psalms 83. We still in subjected Slack. We're subject to the other nations. Okay, Deuteronomy 28:15 on down. We're at the bottom still, and we're still under the curse. But that's coming to an end very soon, right? Jeremiah 30 and verse 9. But they shall serve the Lord their God and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Verse 10, and this is what we all praying for. Therefore fear thou not, from the top. Jeremiah 30 and 10. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, said the Most High. Neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. B'Hashem Mashiach Yahushai. That never happened yet. Okay? You got World War III popping off in the so-called Middle East, and that cuts them being the people of God. That's just a done deal on them, because it's going to turn into a place of mad judgment over there and here in America. Okay? This war about to get unleashed throughout this planet Earth, and yes, missiles are coming to every major city, chiefly in America. The time is coming. The government's a failure. There's no such thing as, justice for your so-called taxpayer here in America. This whole system's a bust now. Okay? You can see the ongoing corruption on both sides. Right? So this thing's coming to an end. And if you're new in this Israelite community, keep these commandments, because the clock winding down. It won't take long for the month of Bib to reapproach, going into this 2026 or 250-year mark for Babylon the Great, because this place is going to be judged. Okay. Let's read the book of Matthew 24. Let's get the classic. Let's get the classic in Matthew 24 and verse 6. I'm going to start at verse 5, because a lot of this is going off throughout this planet right now. For many shall come in my name, saying I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And you've seen that in Israel on a high level. A lot of false prophets. Okay, you got this Jew or Pooh. You got him in his clique. And it's more where that come from. The false teachers. Okay, you have the apologetics and their doctrine, the Nicolaitans being pushed on Israelites coming into the knowledge. A lot of stuff is happening as we approach 250. Okay, let's read on. Matthew 24 and verse 6. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. It's the point. Verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginnings of sorrows, and we're seeing that at a very high level now. Okay? Nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. I'm going to stress this to Hebrew Israelites. Nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. That means Israelites. The brother's showing you that in Ohio fall off. In other parts of America where it's not probably making headlines, where you have brown skin, they're not black, okay? You see the depiction of Hamashiach Yahushua in the corner. That's the so-called dark-skinned man. That's the dark-skinned King of Kings and Lords of Lords. And next to him is the beast image, okay? That's the image of racism, white supremacy. He ain't no white man, okay? But the point is nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. We got to separate from them. It's almost time, y'all. And if you found in the hardships of Jacob's trouble cleave to your enemy, you're going to get bodied in judgment. Okay? That time has come. That time is swiftly approaching. Approaching. And there's no stopping it. And if you found with your enemy, as I read in Isaiah 13 on down to the next verse, you're going to get thrust through for being close to your oppressor. Okay? On the Rumble post, okay, I post a Rumble video recent how the KKK member killed the East Indian girl, okay? It ain't gone viral, you know, they don't have, they got some evidence, but they don't have evidence to show he really did anything yet, but the video showing he took the girl out there and came back by himself. And that's, you know, you got that ongoing saga. I posted that on Rumble recent. My Rumble is Israel144x at rumble.com. Okay, that's a Rumble exclusive. Okay. This race war is going to heat up, right? For you slave descendants. And she was more than likely Elam, but she could pass for a sister. She was a brown skin, and she, you know, was at the wrong place at the wrong time with an oppressor. Okay? This race war is going to crank up. And the Mosai told us to separate ourselves from them. 2 Corinthians, the 6th chapter. Y'all know what I want. This is what Negroes don't like to do. But I'm gonna read this. We're going to wind this video down shortly. 2 Corinthians 6 and verse... I'm going to start at 16. Because America is the home of idol worship, devil worship, all types of illuministic garbage. They're heavy into Egyptology and Babylonian worship, okay? America takes on that spirit just like ancient Babylon and ancient Egypt. They take on all the ways of the other nations. That's why the Most High called this place Babylon the Great. Okay? That's in the Revelations account. 2 Corinthians verses 6, start at verse 16. It's a warning for our people before these harder judgments hit. Okay? 2 Corinthians 6 and verse 16. And what agreement had the temple of God with idols? For you're the temple of the living God. As God has said, I will dwell in them, and I will walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. That's very possessive. We're not dealing with some white supremacist Ku Klux Klan idol in Caesar. Okay? Their true spirit has been revealed on this earth, and if our people don't separate, you're going to get judged. Okay? Let's read on. Verse 17. Wherefore come out from among them and be ye separate, said the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. Verse 18. And will be a father unto you, and you shall be my sons and my daughters, said the Lord Almighty. All praises. Okay. See, you serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay. 12 tribes scattered abroad. Come back to your power, or you're going to get judged here in Babylon the Great. Okay. There's something else our people don't like to do. I know what I want. Let's get the classic in Zephaniah 2 and verse 1. Let me get that. Because that time is getting closer, y'all. You can see this build up, man. Y'all see the post, this build up is real. And it's heating up out there. Okay. Zephaniah 2 and verse 1, it reads, gather yourselves together, gather together, O nation not desired. Okay. It could be argued how they doing it, that's the wrong approach. The Lord's going to fight for us. But in another sense, you can't just let someone step all over you either. Okay. I get the Exodus account, the Lord will fight for you, but sometimes when they're going to get tough, man, it is what it is down here. That's like a white supremacist. True story, by the way. That's like a white supremacist executive or a damn GM come to your job, you working, you in peace, and he put a bounty on your job. Throw you in HR for no goddamn reason on baseless accusations. Slander your beliefs, continue to throw you in HR on baseless accusations. Harassment, ongoing harassment. Then you had all types of criminal elements pop in. True story. That's being fought in that district court. True story. And even in the heat of the litigations, still harass you and retaliate against you. Or retaliatory acts. Salakia for the language. I'm not taking no shit from no white supremacists. Not on my watch. The Most High said you have to stand your grounds, okay? Slakia, you have to endure to the end. So when you run into that account in Matthew 24 where it says endure to the end, that don't mean you sit there and take some punches to the damn face. No, you stand your goddamn ground until the Most High and the saints come to the rescue and get us out of here. When that trumpet sound, that Ezekiel 20 manifests, okay? When that Joel 3 manifest. I'm about to bring that out. I'm going to end it. And I'm telling all you Israelites out there, catching hell on that workplace, stand your ground. It's over for white supremacy. Trust me. Look at this news. America is collapsing. We going home, and the Most High going to burn this place with thermonuclear destruction. And two parts of our people that try to cleave and hold on to Massa, they're going to get turned to ashes with them. Straight up. Let's close out. Let's go back to Zephaniah 2 and 1. And it reads, gather yourselves together, gather together, O nation not desired. Because that's what we have to do. The Lord told us to gather as a nation. Okay? Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as a chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Most High anger come upon you. And that's really going into the missiles. Okay? We catching it now. Cops following you, cops pulling you over, next thing you in court. Okay? We already getting it. But it's really going to crank up when the missiles fly. Okay? Like I said in the previous video, certain towns going to cut off. Okay? You got guillotines out there. I would imagine they're going to put them things back out at some point. It's winding down. But, this beast ain't going down without a fight. Okay? Reading on. Zephaniah 2 and 3. Seek you the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be, you shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. And that's what's coming in that final judgment. When the nations, okay, I've been pushing this a lot. When that Revelation 17 manifesting itself, when when all the nations turn on America, this place is going to get burnt away like ancient Sodom and Gomorrah. You read those accounts in Genesis, fire and hell came from heaven and burnt the whole land away. It's going to happen again to America by way of thermonuclear missiles. Okay? See if there's any more before I wind down. Let's get WW3. I'm winding it down. Warning of the race war. I'm telling y'all, that's what this video is probably going to be called. Warning of the race wars, man. You see the buildup. It's only intensifying. It's only intensifying, man. If you try cleaving to your enemy, okay, it's not going to work. And yeah, I'm saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. America's falling, man. America, the United States of America, it's collapsing, man. This place is coming down. It is coming down, and it's coming down quick. And remember, it won't completely break. It's going to break on the day of the Lord. Okay? That's when it's really going to break. Let's get Joel. Slack ya. Let's get Joel. Here it is. Let's read 3 on down. For behold, and in that time, from the top, Joel 3:1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, that's meaning the end of their captivity, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Okay, that's a link up with Luke 21 and 24, because the people were scattered in 70 AD. Okay, you look at the video, you had the brother doing the whole Charlottesville, he had the chains around him. That's actually his history. And the people set up, we know they don't have that history. But due to the Israelites being, okay, discontinued from their heritage, that's Jeremiah 17, that's the clue. Those people were set up and they know who the hell they are. Especially, you Negroes in America, y'all the ones that don't want to accept being the scattered children of Israel. That this oracle, the oracle you see in front of you, from the time of Abram's horror darkness, I think that's Genesis 15 or Genesis 12. From that account to Revelations, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob only talking to the 12 tribes of Israelites. And salvation is only for the 12 tribes of Israel. That's it. Because when this race war pop off, like I said, in Isaiah 13, you read down to the next verse in 14, if you find with your enemy, you're going to get cut off. And if Mashiach Yahushai, okay, once he come, he catch you with your enemy, he going to cut you off. We're going to end in Isaiah 6:15. Take heed to the warning. I'm telling y'all. Take heed to this warning. It is cranking up now. I want to keep posting, current events as they happen. Isaiah 66 and verse 15. Here it is. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebukes with flames of fire. Verse 16. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, And the slain of the Lord shall be many. That means billions of people are going to die on the day of the Lord. Nuclear destruction, chariot fire, destruction coming from the chariots, like the armed forces of the Most High, for lack of better words, his army. It's going to be a bad day for the wicked. You can read that up in Isaiah 34 as well. Isaiah 66 and verse 17. For all these Negroes that love pork, you don't want to be eating swine's flesh on the day of the Lord. Here it is. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the garden, behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith the Lord. Yeah, that's going into swine, pork, okay, and all that stuff mentioned. You gotta clear yourself of that before the day of the Lord's. Before the day of the Lord, Salakia, because it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a glorious day for the elect, but a horrific day for the wicked, because billions of people are going to die and be left in fire and turn to ashes. Okay, on the day of the Lord. Let's get at that Salakia, in Isaiah 34. I'm going to unwind this now. I want Isaiah 34 in verse 2, and it reads, for the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He had utterly destroyed them. He had delivered them to the slaughter. That's future prophecy. That didn't happen yet. But that's what's going to happen on the day of the Lord. He's going to destroy all the nation's army. That's linked up with Revelations, the 2nd chapter. He's going to subdue them. And Israelites that will cleave to their oppressor, they're going to perish on this coming day of Hamashiach Yahushai and the angels to save the elect and destroy the wicked. Okay? And with that, give all praise, honor, and glory to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Hamashiach Yahushai. Double honors to the mighty men, the elders, and the apostles, and the community, waking up the lost sheep, house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone walking in this truth and humbleness and sincerity. Israel, I love y'all. We got next. Shalom, family.